The Night Soul of the Community study, which happened between 2008 and 2010, asked two simple yet profound questions about place. And that is, what makes people love where they live, and why does it matter? Now, when we started this project, we had no idea what we would find. We didn't even know what we were looking for. We were just trying to answer these questions. And through the process of going through the Night Soul of the Community project, we found something remarkable. Of the 10 things that we studied about places, social offerings, openness, and aesthetics matter most to attaching people to where they live, making people love where they live. And the more you have of people in love with their place, you also saw higher levels of local economic growth. This was with 43,000 people over 3 years, 26 cities, large and small, coastal, inland, everywhere in between. The findings remained remarkably consistent. And what's so valuable about this idea, it was a blockbuster. It was a blockbuster finding on so many levels. Because one of the things that we learned is that community attachment is something we ought to be paying attention to, and we're not. Community attachment is different than civic engagement. Civic engagement has to do with, are you a civic being? Do you do civic things in your community? It does not predict your willingness to stay in that place. It does not predict your willingness to fight for that place or to make economic choices. Community attachment predicts your likelihood to stick around. Community attachment predicts how satisfied you'll be in the job that you have and the economic choices that you'll make because of it. And here's the other remarkable thing. If you can change public opinion of just one of those things, just the social offerings, just the aesthetics, just the openness, you see same-year differences in attachment. This is an idea that is incredibly responsive. People respond to their places quickly. We don't have to sit around and wait and hope and pray and fund and hope that we see a difference in 3 to 5 years. You see a difference that year. Now, does this mean jobs don't matter? Of course not. I mean, Catherine Laughlin's not standing up here and saying, jobs don't matter anymore. Go to the park. It's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that this research was incredibly clear in reinforcing what all of us are already seeing. And that is, place deserves a place at the economic development table. And place has never gotten a place at the economic development table before. But now it is clear that it needs to be there. So let me share a couple of things about these main drivers that we found, starting with social offerings. Whether you live in a big town, small town, medium town, rural town, suburban town, name your town. The number one thing that attached 43,000 people in this country to where they lived, the thing that most drove their attachment, was the availability for positive social interaction in their community. It was truly remarkable. And if you think about what is social offerings are two really important things. They are the infrastructure that you're provided that allows interaction to occur, and it's what we as residents do once we're in those spaces. So this is not a rallying cry that we just need to build all this social infrastructure without paying attention to how we treat each other in those spaces. Because one of the things we learned about social offerings is that it's truly both things. It's not just things to do. It's also our civility within those structures. So you cannot build without being very cognizant of that component as well. And social offerings is really more than what you think. Social offerings is everything and everywhere we go every single day. It is the public spaces. It is the private businesses. It's also the neighborhood. It's also the business. It's also the school. It's everything you can imagine. So when you think about social offerings, it's not like we have a social offering destination in this town. It should be a part of everything that's important here in this community. the other thing that we found that was right after social offerings and important in attaching people to place is people's belief that everyone feels comfortable in their own skin in this place. Everyone. And this is just not about the traditionally disenfranchised groups that we're thinking about. How welcoming are we to those folks, to immigrants, to minorities? That is critical, but that's part of the story. We actually measured how welcoming a place is for young talent, for families with young children, for seniors. Because the goal should not be welcomeness to some. The goal should be welcomeness to all. And when you're creating a place where you want to think everyone has a place there, you have to be mindful of making sure that there's an experience there for everyone. My job here today with this slide is to remind us that it's about the culture of welcomeness that people are looking for from their places. And that comes from a lot of different sources. Because remember, at the end of the day, tolerance means I put up with you. Openness means please come. It is a higher metric of expectation. It's harder to achieve. But the results, as far as attachment goes, in creating love cities are exponential. So, aesthetics. You know, aesthetics is a really important component to attachment to place. And what we learned about aesthetics is that it doesn't even matter how much money you have, what your education level is, what part of the city you live in. Everybody wants to look around and feel proud of what they see. The scale might be different, the opportunities might be different, but the need for pride remains. So where do you start? You start with your place narrative. First, you know, that's supposed to be me with short hair. Somebody did that for me at an event up in Canada, and I'm not really sure, but hey, that's okay. I like it. It's cute. So first, you have to know, do you know who your city is? That's a question for us today. Do you know who your city is? Do you know your narrative, your identity as a place? Who are we as a place? What is our competitive advantage as a place? What makes us unique? What makes us stand out from other places? You cannot do what happened a little bit after The Soul of the Community came out. Just start doing social offerings, openness, and aesthetics nonstop without it being rooted in that particular place. You can't skip that step. And you also can't copy off other cities' papers. Because what happens when you do that is that the things that are created in the place don't feel genuine to the people who live there. And they know it. You guys would know it. I can look at you and tell. That this does not feel like who we are. So unless you go through that exercise of discovering or uncovering who you are, then you cannot just move forward with social offerings, openness, and aesthetics. A narrative allows you to be who you are, but be the best who you are that you can be. It tells you that you're justified in doing so. It also does something really important. It insulates you from selling out. Because when something doesn't fit or match with what you know this place to be, you will be less likely to do it and sell out towards it. And it also does this third really important thing, and that is it tells you that who you are is always good enough. You do not have to be Charlotte, North Carolina to be successful, or Cary, or Raleigh, or anywhere, because who you are is good enough. We just have to optimize it to be the best that it can be. It is the source of your placemaking ideas. It is truly where the cultivation of love cities starts. It is your history. It is your geography. It is your industry. It is your institutions. It is your landmarks. It is the spirit of this place. You are not just one of these things. You are not just your history. You are not just your industry. You are all of these things. Your narrative is waiting to be uncovered with each of these making a contribution. So if you're ready to create a city that is a loved place, here's an equation you might want to think about. So it is the place narrative demonstrated through social offerings, openness, and aesthetics, letting the narrative live through those aspects of community life. And through that, you will have effective placemaking. And the reason why we care about effective placemaking is that it encourages loved places and feelings of attachment to the place. Because the good news is that placemaking knows no scale. You can start anywhere. Anywhere matters. So that little idea that you have that you don't think would make any difference whatsoever, do it. Because I'm telling you, some of the best ideas, the ideas you'll hear today, are small but brilliant and get bigger over time. Each one of you have a unique contribution in creating the place that is to be loved, which we call Greensboro. Everyone here has that unique contribution to make. And it's not just in our ideas. It's how social offerings, openness, aesthetics, civility manifest through you every single day. Every single day. Every interaction in this city that you make contributes to the culture of this place. And there is so much opportunity here. Like I said at the beginning, I wanted to do anything I could to be here today to share this message because I know from this experience with TEDx Greensboro, the amount of resident attachment that's here. You can't buy it, you can't fund it, but you have to mobilize it. You have to mobilize it and take advantage of it. So today I encourage you to listen hard, think hard, and leave here today and make your place. Thank you very much.